Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. What if I told you the sun is literally printing money for business owners right now, and honestly, most people are completely sleeping on it? Today we're going to walk through a complete step-by-step blueprint for launching a highly profitable solar business and doing it on a really tight budget. We're going to break down the real numbers, the daily operations, and exactly how you can build this whole thing out. To immediately wrap your head around the sheer scale of this opportunity, just listen to this statistic. The Bureau of Labor Statistics projects solar installer jobs to grow by an astounding 52% through 2032. 52%! That officially makes it the fastest growing occupation in America. So the window to get in before your local market reaches total saturation, it's closing a lot faster than you might think.
The market is just completely booming right now, officially surpassing 200 gigawatts of total installed capacity in 2024. This massive growth is heavily fueled by the Inflation Reduction Act, which extended a whopping 30% federal tax credit for solar installations all the way out through 2032. When you combine that kind of long-term government backing with a 60% drop in overall system prices over the last decade, well, it's pretty easy to see why consumer demand is just going through the roof.
All right, here is the roadmap for our explainer today. We'll start with number 1, the solar boom opportunity. Then move to launching lean, step-by-step operations, beginner traps, smart growth, and finally, the final verdict.
Let's jump right into Section 1, the solar boom opportunity, looking at government backing and those high margins.
So, profit margins in this industry typically land somewhere between 20 and 35% per job. When you stop and consider that average residential jobs bring in between $15,000 and $30,000 in top-line revenue, the math gets very exciting very fast. Top operators who are successfully closing just, say, 8 to 15 jobs a month, they can realistically generate annual revenues anywhere from $800,000 to well over $2 million.
Moving on to Section 2, launching lean with a 15K model, breaking down realistic startup costs.
Now, the barrier to entry here is surprisingly low. You absolutely do not need a $250,000 full-scale operation with fancy showrooms and huge in-house marketing teams on day one. You can launch a highly effective, lean, licensed subcontractor model with just basic tools and a solid sales process for just $15,000 to $30,000. Sure, a mid-tier setup where you have your own crew, a service van, and equipment inventory will run you $50,000 to $100,000, but starting lean is a totally viable, smart strategy.
And because you can start so lean, your financial runway is highly manageable. By keeping your overhead super low with the subcontractor approach, you can realistically hit your break-even point in just 12 to 18 months, depending, of course, on your specific business structure and local overhead.
All right, Section 3, step-by-step daily operations. This is the admin, legal, and workflow blueprint. To build a bulletproof foundation, you absolutely must follow these exact steps. First off, form an LLC. This protects your personal assets in an industry that inherently involves, electrical work and climbing on roofs. Second, get licensed. Most states require an electrical contractor license, and some want a specific solar license on top of that, so always check your local state board. Third, buy insurance. We're talking general liability plus mandatory workers' comp the exact second you hire a crew. And fourth, you have to learn to rigorously manage your local permits.
Once your paperwork and legal foundations are totally locked in, what does the day-to-day actually look like? Well, your daily hustle is going to revolve around these realities. You'll be out conducting detailed site assessments and dealing with the inevitable red tape of pulling city permits. You're also going to have to coordinate utility grid interconnections and, of course, oversee the actual installations on site. On the admin side, you're managing self-employment tax, quarterly payments, and navigating sales tax exemptions, which, by the way, some states actually offer on solar equipment, making it a fantastic built-in selling point for your customers.
Let's look at Section 4, avoiding the beginner traps, and where new solar owners tend to bleed money.
There's definitely a wrong way and a right way to grow. The absolute #1 place beginners bleed money is by buying leads from aggregator platforms like Energy Sage or HomeAdvisor. I mean, it sounds easy, right? Until you realize it forces a brutal race to the bottom where you're competing against 5 other local installers solely on price. The true fix here is building your own pipeline and automating your lead follow-ups with a dedicated CRM.
And speaking of follow-ups, businesses lose up to 75% of callers who just don't leave a voicemail. Let that sink in for a second. Missed calls are a silent killer in the solar industry. If you don't pick up the phone, that homeowner just moves right down to the next installer on Google. This is exactly why fundamental tech infrastructure, like a CRM that tracks leads, a professional website, and an optimized Google Maps listing are absolutely mandatory in 2025. Without them, you aren't just losing money, you're practically invisible.
Another fatal mistake is underestimating the permitting timeline. If you fail to account for unpredictable city and utility delays in your project pricing, it will absolutely freeze your cash flow mid-project. Oh, and one more quick trap to avoid. Hiring too fast before your sales pipeline is truly consistent.
Moving on to Section 5, Smart Growth and Referrals, or how to outsmart the competition. The crucial point here is bypassing that miserable cold calling grind entirely. Here are 3 untapped growth hacks your competitors probably aren't doing. First, partner with real estate agents who sell homes without solar. You instantly become their go-to resource before the new buyer even moves in. Second, build HOA referral programs. A single solid relationship with a homeowners association can literally yield 20 to 50 installs in just one neighborhood block. And third, offer free savings audits to commercial businesses. Commercial jobs pay significantly more than residential, and honestly, most small business owners simply haven't been shown the direct financial return yet. Finally, Section 6, the honest final verdict, weighing the reality of the industry.
Let's lay it all out. On one hand, you have high-ticket sales, massive government and tax tailwinds, double-digit growing consumer demand, and a highly scalable business model. But you really have to look closely at the cons because they do matter. You face a steep permitting and utility interconnection learning curve. You absolutely must have the stomach to float capital during frustrating utility delays before customer financing clears. And you have to deal with out-of-your-control elements like weather delays, bad roofing conditions, and strict HOA restrictions that can kill deals late in the game.
So, what's the bottom line here? This is definitely not a business for someone looking for passive income out of the gate. You need airtight, reliable systems. If you're serious about this and want to completely eliminate the tech guesswork that ruins so many beginners, the team at SoftAngles offers free consultations to build exactly the website, CRM, and automation that your specific operations require.
Looking at the incredibly high margins, the highly accessible lean startup costs, and a decade of massive market growth ahead, the question really isn't whether solar is profitable. The real question I want to leave you with is this: are you going to conquer the residential market, the commercial market, or both?